In this lesson, we are going to look at tools and settings. Notice how we are going from the top of the menus here on the dashboard all the way down. We are now on tools. So I'll quickly go to tools. Under tools, you have the available tools. You have the import and export tools. You also have the site health. This is new to WordPress, and I love that feature very much because it allows you to see if there's any problem with your site and also how to tackle that problem. So your site health has to always be good. But for some reason, if you have a very poor site health, then you have to, it gives you suggestions on what to change. And most times it's from a plugin. So you should be careful with the where or type of plugins you install on your WordPress website. And then you have the export personal data, which is also new. You can export all the data. You can export all the personal data in your user account. You can also erase the personal data. In previous versions of WordPress, we only had the import and export and also available tools option. The last three down here are new to WordPress. Also, depending on the plugin you installed, you can have some tools introduced to this tools section or tab. Basically, the tools tab holds settings that has to do with utilities. For instance, if I install a malware scanner, I'll probably have a menu or an option here in the tools tab. Normally when you click on a menu, the first option is what is selected. You can see we have available tools selected. So we have categories and tags converter. So if I go to the imports, here you can import data or settings from other platforms like Blogger. You can import your posts, comment and users from your Blogger. Let's say you were using Blogger before. Blogger is free to use, and most people start out with blogger.com. So if you have content on Blogger like posts, images, comments, users, etc., you can import those content directly from Blogger. So you have to install that tool. Same for categories, live journal, movable types, and so many other stuff. You can even import posts, pages, comments, etc. from another WordPress installation. But before you do that, you'll have to export those posts and those contents. So I just clicked on the export, and then you can choose to export all content. And then you download the exported file. You can go ahead and purchase a new domain name and a hosting account, install basic WordPress, and then export your files or export your content from your previous WordPress site and then import them from this section. Of course, you have the site health. You can see our site health is good, but if you have a poor site health, you would get information about what you should do differently. Even with a good site health, we still have 3 recommendations for improvements. So the first recommendation here says you should remove inactive plugins, which is very important. So if you drop down, you would see you can manage your plugins and also manage your inactive plugins. It gives you a total number of active plugins on your website. So this is a really cool feature, and I liked the fact that it is being introduced to WordPress. It is also safe to remove inactive themes. So it says here your site has 3 themes installed and we have 2 inactive themes. So if we are not going to be using those themes, it is safe to deactivate and delete them from the site. Also, under performance, it is telling us here that our site is running on an older version of PHP. So we have 7.2.34. This normally is done on your hosting account, so you can update your PHP version to the latest one. So if you follow all the suggestions that the site health tool gives you, your site will be better optimized. And also the export personal data option, you can add the username you want to export the data from and then send the request. Same goes for erase personal data. You can add the username and then send the request to erase the personal data for that user. Now let's quickly jump to settings. I click on settings. The first setting is the general settings. This is where you make changes to your site title, your tagline, and also your WordPress address. We already looked at the settings in the lesson where I was taking you through the WordPress dashboard. So we went through all of these settings, but I'll quickly brush through them. Website address is when you want to change your domain name and you want to move a website from the Million Shoppers to some other domain name which you have bought or registered. So you can come here and change your URL to point to that new domain, both for the WordPress address and the site address. And once you do that, you click on Save Changes. Then you can proceed with moving your website from this server to the next server, and you have the administration email and so on. You have the writing settings. Okay, so the post via mail is, for instance, you want to work remotely and you can send an email to this mail server, and the mail server is going to convert that email and make a post. So you can create post by emailing this server. So you need to configure using some of these strings here. This option is really not necessary, so you really don't need to bother about this. And then you have the reading settings. Remember how we selected our display or home page display. So we have our static page set to the home page. Remember the theme we installed. These pages was created. The theme created the home page and the clinic page for us. So we can decide to display any page. This is useful for business websites. So you have a static page that welcomes people to your website and basically gives a summary of what your website is all about. Okay, so that's all for tools and settings. There is no point going through all of this all over again. So I'll see you in the next lesson.